Should we do trading places?
Yeah, sure.
I got one for you, Marius, but we can start with you, mate.
All right.
Newcastle. You let's just say the Saudis take over, the Saudi prince, I believe. What would be the first thing you would do to Newcastle?
So if
Make
I were
everyone happy again?
If I were the Saudi prince and I had unlimited amount of money, I'd definitely buy Newcastle. And I'd probably well, it kind of depends. Like, I think when you're the Saudi prince and you have that much money, you're not buying a club to own a club. You're buying a club to make it the greatest club. And money is not really going to be an issue as long as it stays within those financial rules. I'm not really sure how they are, but it seems so easy to get around it. Because all of a sudden you can get a shirt sponsor, you can pay like a lot of money for it, and
pay the players for the image rights off the books.
Exactly. Like I don't know exactly what happened with Neymar when he went to PSG, but I think like he was owned by some Qatar company or something like that, and not by the club, or there was something like ridiculous I think happened. But anyways, if I were the club, like, you kind of need to keep some of the core players that's been there for a while. Like Lacazette as a captain, like, he needs to stay, and like we got a lot of Shelby. I mean, Shelby's not going to be good enough to be a starter, but he could be a good player to have in the bench and in the dressing room. Like, he can bring up the atmosphere, he brings out, he got fighting spirit, and you need people that's ready to, like, we kind of say die for the shirt in Norwegian, but I don't know if that's correct.
That's one thing that money does not buy you in football.
The issue now, like, if you look at those star players, like, look at Arsenal, like, if you look at Özil, Aubameyang, do you think they really care if they have an Arsenal jersey or a different jersey? Like, you want people that actually feel passionate, and when they are with the club, they're going to be loyal to that club, and they're ready to, like, put in the work for that club, even though they're already rated like top in the world. It's hard to say is it smart to buy like the best talents. Like, if you look at one star player that come out of Norway now, Haaland, who just went to Dortmund, like, he seems extremely committed, and I think you want those kind of players that just, like, you know, they care about every single chance they miss. They beat themselves up, and they're putting like their like heart on the field every single game. And you kind of need, but you look at Liverpool, what they've been able to do. They're just like,
they haven't spent that much.
They haven't spent much. They've just been able to get like star players that really is there for the club. So you need to have a manager that gets along well with all the players, and he's not gonna accept like divas or anything like that. So first thing would probably be to figure out who is the correct manager to hire. I don't know how much I would have to pay Klopp to go to Liverpool, but
a lot of money.
Well, I don't know if money is
all of your Saudi money, probably.
You go for like Pochettino's out there. I don't know if he'd want to come because he might want to go to a bigger club, but like if the Saudi prince is the owner,
I think like whoever's gonna come to Newcastle after, if there's a sale, I don't think they're gonna lack ambitions, and they're gonna know this is a club with high ambitions. So it's like, do you want to come and take over this project? Obviously, as a manager, it must be the dream, right? You're basically given the opportunity to create your own team. It's like you play a football manager and you give yourself like unlimited money.
It is also a club with like a lot of historical strong fan support. Like they had one of the biggest stadiums in England for many, many years. So it is, it's also like, as you mentioned, like Sunderland's a different city, I guess, right? So that's a bit outside. So it's one of those cities which is still quite big, and one club in the UK, and that's a good situation to be in.
So I hope they have a manager in mind already if they're buying it, because that's the place you need to start. Like, sorry, Steve Bruce, you've done an amazing job with Newcastle, but you're not going to be the one who's going to take us to the number one team in the world. What about the Hoffenheim manager? He's like 33 or 34 or something. He's pretty young.
You're talking about Nagelsmann, because he went to Leipzig. He's coaching them now.
Then he is the guy I would go for.
There's one man we're forgetting.
Who?
Unai Emery.
Emery.
Or Rafa Benitez.
That was again.
Joke. I mean, bringing back Benitez, that would have been awesome. I would have loved to see that. He's shown, like, he's won Champions League with Liverpool, he's done well in Italy, he's done well Did he win it in Italy also? No, I don't think so.
He at least won the Europa League with Chelsea. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
he's
Benitez?
he's
Is it Benitez?
Benitez, yeah.
And I think like that would be good also to like for the fans, for everything, like start out with Benitez and give him like you said with Joe Linton, he seems sensible about money, and I think also for manager they have a bit of ego. Like you know, how cool is it to buy Newcastle and or be a manager of Newcastle, spend £100 million on every single position, 50 million for backups, and then be like, oh yeah, I won the league. Everyone's just gonna look at it like, look, you just bought the league basically.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think you would win the league even if you were to spend that money today with the way Liverpool and City is playing. But I think finding somebody like Benitez or having a young manager who can create a legacy in Newcastle would be pretty cool.
Part of what I find pretty crazy is how much money the clubs are willing to spend on players, and then the managers are all still quite cheap. Like Solskjaer was making like £7 million, I think, in a year for Manchester United, and when you look at sort of the funds that he's like managing over, they have the potential to buy players for like £100 million every single season. Then I think it's pretty crazy.
But it's hard to say, like, is Solskjaer really the guy in charge, or is it the accountant Ed Woodward who's like who's doing this?
It is funny that like
still,
the most important person in the club, the coach, is paid so little.
Yeah, so the point is like you pretty much any player that a good player that a Premier League club is going to buy is going to cost like 30 million at least, and then you could have the best manager in the world probably for that money. So I mean, obviously not all managers would go, but if you put 30 million on the table,
I think the highest paid manager is
Guardiola.
Guardiola gets paid 20 mil a year.
Yeah. So that's, I think their highest paid player is like De Bruyne, 375 a week. The only
Ozil gets 350 a week at Arsenal.
Sanchez gets 500.
Yeah. It's crazy.
If I had a beer, I would do a cheers for Sanchez.
Great lad.
But,
great agent he must have.
Yeah, I guess that's the place you'd start if you were taking over as the coach. Yeah.
I mean, and it's not like I am a manager, so it's really hard to say where I would go from there, because if I were the owner, I would say I would need to find a manager I can trust and listen to what he had to say first.
It's so hard to find a good manager, because like if you look at all the clubs in the Premier League, like I'd love to see the average time that they've been there, because like you rarely see a Premier League manager last longer than like 3 years now.
But the ones who's done it, like Eddie Howe, Bournemouth actually been changing manager a bit recently.
Bournemouth?
No, Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Southampton been changing. Southampton got something really good going now. I really like them. I think
Hasenhüttl finally like managed to get his team and tactics as he wanted.
Yeah.
And then results started to improve. I actually want to give them some credit for sticking to him and not firing him when they lost like 9-0, 9-1 against Leicester.
Southampton. Yeah. Oh.
Like most clubs would have fired him on the spot that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it got worse. It wasn't even getting better after that. It took weeks and weeks until they got better. But Danny Ings.
Great lad. Learned it at Liverpool.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's hard to say these things.
Yeah. I think Pochettino would be good choice. Could
be. Why couldn't he succeed at Tottenham?
I wanted him at Arsenal.
Not enough money.
Didn't have enough money?
No.
But I think, like, okay, so you might say he didn't have enough money, but one thing he was struggling also is to make players sign a new contract.
Yeah.
Like Eriksson, Alderweireld, was some others also. Vertonghen, yeah.
One of them just signed a new contract. It was Alderweireld, I think.
So it's then hard to say. Does he have the same relationship like Klopp has with his players?
Probably not, but at least before things went off the rails with him, like everyone was saying, like, oh, he's such a warm and fantastic person, and you just really feel very comfortable with him and everything. And then in the end, it was like, oh, people don't dare to look him in the eyes. So I'm not sure how you go from one to the other, but apparently he was a good people person. So.
Yeah, I guess also like people also tend to back their manager, at least publicly, and what's happening behind, we don't really know. Like what's actually happening with Pogba and Solskjaer. Is there some kind of rivalry that going on there?
Yeah.
Is it Mino Raiola who's like setting this all up for his next big payday with a move to Real Madrid? Like,
yeah, I mean, of course, he just wants to transfer the players like every couple of years, so he can cash in. That's 100% sure.
Yeah.
Just one more point on the Tottenham one, and that is not necessarily every decision in terms of contracts were up to Pochettino, because Daniel Levy is like the guy who's been managing the budget and everything there, and they have been like paying the players under sort of their market value for years and years, and been able to get them to accept contracts. So I can totally understand a guy like Vertonghen, Alderweireld, or Eriksen not wanting to take a new contract unless you get a very big payday at the end.
No, and imagine also they know their value, transfer value, and they know like how much money the clubs are saving by signing them on free transfer.
Yeah.
And as you can see with Sanchez, well, if you don't pay for me to get me, well, you're going to pay for me to play for you, kind of. The sign-on fee bonus and bigger wages is like the way they go about it.
And you get paid instead of the club.
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could also see this sort of being the way some of the bigger players will move in the future, because the prices after like the Neymar deal and stuff, like people are not going to spend 100 million euros forever or every single window or whatever. So I can see players, the big stars, like starting to run down their contracts more often and then sort of getting that big payday through a free transfer.
But then you can look at also the difficult with that, with what happened with Sanchez. Like, you know, if you sign a long contract with that amount of money, it's like the player is just going to say, look, I'm going to play out my contract because I want all this money and I'm not going to make anywhere close to this anywhere else. So it kind of creates different options. And what I would like to see is more something that's in NBA. You have like the team has an option to extend your contract. So you have like a 2-year contract or a 4-year contract. After 2 seasons, it could be a team option. So the team can decide if you want to extend your contract or let go of you. And when they're paying those big wages, I think something like that would have been really smart for football clubs also. Especially when you sign players like Sanchez in, how old is he now? Like 32 maybe?
He'd be like 30, 31, yeah.
So like when he gets to that age, it's like difficult to say, are they still going to perform at that world-class level? Because having a player like Sanchez, like he's going to end up being one of the most expensive players United has had in terms of salaries and sign-on bonus. And who knows what they paid his agent.
I got a trading places for you, mate.
All right.
Edison Cavani. Being chased by Chelsea, Manchester United, and Atletico Madrid, reportedly. Where would you go?
China. The Atletico Madrid one is tricky. They do still have Costa and Felix who are playing like as the strikers, I guess.
Is Felix a striker? I thought he was a midfielder.
He is sort of like an offensive midfielder, but I think they play sort of like one striker and then one pretty close behind, so it's like almost a pair there. But I guess short term Manchester United would put the most money on the table. Like career wise, in terms of success, I think he would enjoy playing under Simeone at Atletico. And
you might want to go to England.
He really is the striker whisperer. Whichever striker he brings in is usually pretty good at scoring goals. But in England, I think I would take the big payday at Manchester United, and I really hope that he'll be the next Sanchez and that they do sign him on like a 3-year contract for 500k a week.
Make him 4 years. Make them suffer for an extra year.
But if you go to Atletico, you got a way better chance at winning trophies, wouldn't you think?
Which trophy are you referring to?
That's a very good question. Are they? They're not. They're in the Champions League, aren't they?
They're playing Liverpool.
They're going to struggle to win Champions League. They're not good enough.
La Liga. They're not too far behind in the La Liga, I don't think.
So they're a great team, but they're just not up there.
Yeah, and they just did like a bit of a rebuild this summer, like replacing some of the central defenders. Godin went to Inter, and Van Fran retired, I think, and then they brought in like Trippier as right back. So. A bit of a change season there. Griezmann out and Felix in. So
either of these 3 clubs are going to struggle to win trophies, aren't they? Manchester United could be the best hope at getting a trophy out of all of them just because they're in the Europa League.
So does PSG want to sell him, or is he not starting there anymore? Or
he was left out of the squad the other day against Lille.
Really?
So apparently he's like definitely going. It's just a matter of where.
I mean, yeah. If I'm a striker who's like 33, I guess I'd go to whoever pays me the most money for as long as possible.
That'd be cool to go to England.
But I just don't understand that mentality, because do you think Cavani really needs money in his life now? Like, to a person like
That's
him,
a good point. That is a good point.
He's made some really bad decisions if he does.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just don't understand. Like, let's say his net worth is between 40 and 80 million euros.
Yeah.
Like, does it really make a difference if you make 5 million instead of 3 million for the next years?
That is a very good point. Yeah.
And do you want to get out what's best for you? What kind of challenge do you want in life? At least that's what I think.
I think it depends a lot on the player.
Yeah.
And I could totally see him as the kind of guy who would want the challenge rather than just taking the paycheck.
It's funny when you look at Zlatan, for example. Zlatan, if you look at his career, he's basically only been living in cities. It's kind of like his girlfriend was picking which cool city he wants to live in.
Yeah, who has the best fashion week?
Exactly, like Milano, Barcelona, LA. Well, he went to Manchester, but you saw how long that lasted, and it was like, no way, we're going back.
Yeah.
So maybe like he also like he doesn't want to go to Manchester because I don't think it's that much to do in the city. It's not the most beautiful city, weather is shit, and
you're only there to play football, mate.
Yeah. Maybe you can pull a Steven Taylor, the ex-Newcastle defender. He went to New Zealand, I think.
Oh, really?
I think you're ruling out Chelsea too much, actually. I don't know, like Tammy Abraham, I know he's like the main striker there, but they don't have any backup for one. Well, they do, but it's not that great. Yeah. And it might actually do Abraham some good to have some, like, not only have competition, but have an experienced person that's done
I mean, he would most likely be able to play in the Champions League next year then, which he also has most likely at Atletico, and unless United manage to win the Europa League, then I guess he wouldn't have
and it's not like they're a certainty to make the top four. They're stumbling a bit, so it could get them over the line and make sure they make Champions League. Yeah, maybe have an FA Cup run.
I just really can't see them sort of swapping one old striker that they kind of don't want to use mainly, because it seems like he's old in Giroud for another old striker in Cavani.
Yeah.
What do you think? Can I come with like a super random pick here?
Yeah, sure.
So, if you think about his career, he's 33. I don't know how well he's still playing. He's probably a very good player. But do you think there's any chance he would go to Miami and play for Beckham's team?
Oh.
The Miami lifestyle, just be the star of the team, kind of start building up their franchise around him.
I think that would be a cool challenge.
Being also from, like, Miami is, from what I heard, is more Spanish-speaking than English-speaking, pretty much. And I'm sure, like, it's also much closer to home, and it could be tempting to just be like, look. But then again, it's more like, look, this is a different kind of challenge. And it's kind of, because he's never won Champions League, has he?
I think Atletico lost the finals they went to. So, and then PSG has never been to more than a semi-final back in the 90s. So
yeah.
But maybe I could see that in like maybe a year or two. Yeah. Like he's still playing well. So maybe that's like a move you can do when you're 35.
It's hard to say. Like it was, but then again, if PSG is demanding a lot of money for him, I don't know if there's.
Yeah, I'm not sure.